I mentioned I was sick on the couch and I would turn the TV on at 8 o'clock to see if I'd see Danielson and Dax, because I figured, okay, they'll put Danielson out there first, try to keep the big bangers, right? Because that's the only way they can get a banger on the AEW program is if they keep it from the previous program. But here comes Moxley, so I tuned back in later. Apparently, this was the in-ring promo with Moxley that now that he's been made to look like a complete fucking putz by everybody, his fucking mentor turned on him. His good friend and partner, Bryan Danielson, last week kept him from killing Regal in storyline because Danielson loves Regal, and in actuality because obviously Moxley couldn't get his hands on the guy that turned on him and fucked him and knew apparently what we think now that he never was going to, because Regal's on his way out. So he had to at least give him a verbal tongue lashing on the way out. That was last week. So now this is Moxley's promo where he comes out and again talks about what a badass he is and how he's going to run this whole place and blah, blah, blah. He said there were 3 certainties: death, taxes, and Jon Moxley. And all 3 of those have the same appeal to the viewer.
It was a weird expression, wasn't it?
Well, Mama Cornette used to say there's only 2 things for sure, and that's death and taxes.
And Jon Moxley. But what does that mean?
Moxley's trying to, yeah.
I have to pay my taxes. Unfortunately, we all die. But how does Moxley fit into that equation? He'll just always be there no matter what.
He'll always be. Well, and apparently with that new long-term contract that he's signed, and his wife's got a job there, so he doesn't even have to go home to visit her. So anyway, he's still trying to be a badass, and he claims that there's not a man within 100 miles with the balls to tell him different. And of course, they play music at the perfect cue, and it is hangnail Adam Page's music. And oh my God, here we go. Now, 2 more baby faces are going to fight to see who's going to be the fucking #1 contender to the world title. He comes out in his cowboy outfit. Did you see that ensemble that Page was wearing this week, Brian Last?
Can't really call it a cowboy outfit. It's more like a guy who lives in Brooklyn and there's a cowboy-themed bar down the street that they all hang out at.
It's like he told his wife to go to Cox's and get him a seersucker suit. She got mixed up and went to Sears instead. And there is Hangnail Page in the ring, face-to-face and toe-to-toe with a homeless plumber. It looked like the representatives of a showdown between a pride parade and a coalition of the fucking underprivileged. I've never seen, maybe in the 50s when Nudie started making the cowboy outfits with the rhinestones and the appliques, maybe Page, and nevertheless, anyway, Moxley's like, you sure you want to do this? And Page nailed him, and they had a big fight, and they went to the floor, and security, and referees, and a big pull apart, and a bunch of break looses. And Page looks ridiculous visually, the way he dresses, and he has no personality whatsoever besides the empty-headed twit that he apparently is, but he gave this everything he had. And if you didn't see 3 or 4 of these bench-clearing brawls in every week's program, this was a good one. They were fighting, and the people were in it, because they'd break loose, and then they get pulled apart, and they'd break, and people thought it was over, and then they'd break loose. That's the idea of the break looses, they think they've got it settled down, and it's a big pop because the guy breaks loose. But on one of the break looses, all the people had drugged Page up to the stage, and Moxley runs up the stage after him, and he's coming 100 miles an hour, and you can hear the people getting up like, yeah! And then Moxley tries to run past the cameraman that's got his back to him and past another guy and ran straight off the side of the stage and busted his fucking ass face first, and the people went, hell! Everybody in the building, so even the announcers had to say, oh my God, and Moxley's falling. I hope he's okay. And it was just, but all I could think, again, who's the baby face? Are we going to, because Moxley is too, I think, convinced that he is a superstar to want to switch heel right now and tell all the fans, fuck you, after he just lost the title that he's just lost fucking 3 times in the last 2 months or whatever, this goddamn booking and the whole fiasco of the thing. Is Page going to be a heel? He couldn't be any worse heel than he is a babyface, but that's faint praise. Or are they just going to have 2 guys? Because Tony, I wonder if the 2 guys that he booked the E-Feds with, I wonder if that's still his crowd that he's listening to. Because it sure ain't the fucking people in his buildings.
Well, he may be listening to an internet crowd, but I'm not sure if it's just confined to that.
But if so this is going to be Page and Moxley now. Okay, diminish both guys. You're going to have to pick somebody to be behind, or you're just going to say, fuck it, I'll wash my hands of the whole thing. So if you're behind one of them, then you're against the other one, and that means that he's turning people against one of his baby faces.
After we saw the stuff with MJF and the crowd reaction to Moxley in a few different places, and Moxley's reaction to the crowd not being with him, I'm actually thinking he should be a heel right now.
I'm not saying he shouldn't, but I don't think that he's going to be. And how are we going to tell? Let's see. Usually it's the heel that is the cheater and the badass and the guy that drinks blood.
That's how bad he is. He drinks blow.
Well, he drinks blood and breaks bones and he does all this, and that's who Moxley is as a babyface. The heel is supposed to be like that as a heel, and then we switch his babyface, then the idea is they'll see this type of reckless, devil-may-care behavior against the other heels. But Moxley cannot change in any way the way that he wrestles or talks or approaches anything, because he's never either a babyface or a heel. He's a delusional, not very impressive visually looking guy nearing 40 that talks a big game, and for the modern day, with a lack of real fucking badasses in the wrestling business, he can get away with it with some people, but I don't know. So we're going to have to watch those 2 go at each other now.
All things considered, though, I actually thought it was a pretty good opening segment, and I get what you're saying. We see a lot of things, but we also do complain pretty regularly about the fact that guys go out there, brawl, and there's no one out there to break things up. There are no referees. There's no backstage people.
No, the fight they did well.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it with 2 whole completely different people, but the fight segment, that was fine. But again, then they need consistency. Now they've established they've got referees and security guys that will come out and break up shit that gets out of hand, except if they don't like the people that are involved. Nobody wants to see Page and Moxley get hurt, so we'll go out and break them up. But when it's the trampoline cowboys and their completely rule-free shit, then they get to fight or the sports entertainment assholes, they get to fight and do whatever, and chainsaws and sledgehammers to people's heads and everything, and nobody tries to stop it because that would break up the flow of their dramatic presentation. But then you've got a schizophrenic television program where, they just came out and broke the other thing up, and then they don't even apply a series of standards to that. Girls will slap each other and get in a hair-pulling fight, and they'll send 20 people out there. But there's the guy with the fucking flaming fucking welding torch and nuclear plutonium he's trying to cover a guy up with, and we can't go out there.